I prefer the coffee.
What up, though? It's your boy Coffee back with another one, and right here is a space where Dr. Mark Lamont Hill, yes, he's on a roll ever since he been on the Joe Budden podcast. But here is a space where he's talking to, some people of the FBA community, and they, knew what they were talking about. Was the host right here. Shout out to Professor Allen. Also, shout out to Quessa Queen, if that's how you say it, and also won the spot. They were doing a thing and they had some questions for him and he answered them in the way Mark answers them. So here is the video. Y'all give me y'all comments, y'all like, subscribe, enjoy. Y'all give me some more detail into it cuz I'm actually new to this FBA stuff, so I want to learn more too. So this is all a learning experience for everybody. Let's go.
I think there's an African guy in one of these Midwestern, northern Midwestern states. So the reason why I'm bringing up all of these people, right, is when we talk about these politicians in particular, Westmore in Maryland, he did not sign legislation for reparative justice, or whatever the case may be. Now, Westmore is of Caribbean lineage. He was raised by his Caribbean grandparents and his Caribbean mother. And his reason for not signing any type of reparative justice here in Maryland is because he said, well, the work just needs to be done. And what work that needs to be done looks like to Westmore is that they help out disenfranchised communities. So they're not going to do anything for somebody like me who has lineage here in Maryland and can trace their roots back. They're not doing anything for me. They just want to do something for everybody. Byron Donalds has been on the record as saying that he doesn't support reparations because his Caribbean parent wouldn't get it. Winsome Sears has been on the record. It's saying we should not get reparations. And when these people say we, they do not make a distinction that they are saying, I don't think Black Americans or non immigrant Black Americans or American descendants of slaves, they don't make the distinction. They use the pronoun we. We have the African guy that said, or African descent, who said he thinks that we don't need Black History Month and we should get away from it. Now, again, are there what we would call American Freedmen Foundation or Black Americans who also believe that possibly Black History Month should be abolished or whatever? Yes. But the point that I'm making is that when these people of African and Caribbean lineage use the pronouns we, us, and ours, they make it a point not to make it a distinction. They make it a point to speak in our behalf. And to your point about an act of war, at what point in time do we respond? Because to me, that's an act of war to speak in my behalf to block reparative justice that I'm owed because I have lineage in this country and I have the paperwork that proves that my ancestors were the beneficiaries of the 13th Amendment and Emancipation Proclamation and they never received compensation. To me, that's an act of war. So when do we get the chance to respond?
I mean, your your breakdown is really helpful to me, but I probably see it a little differently in a few places. Um, I think the first thing is I don't necessarily attribute. Or let me start with the last thing you said first. I agree with you that we is unhelpful in some of these conversations. The word we, because we can mean different things at different times, right? If I'm talking about we get beat by the police, we get exploited in the labor market, we, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, in the United States. I think I can be talking about freedmen. I can be talking about immigrants. I think as long as you're black, that makes sense. If I say we deserve reparations in a U.S. context, um, I'm not talking about people who are the descendants of slavery, right? So I think that you're right that we is unhelpful and the need to delineate in that way and at that time is essential. I agree with you 1,000% on that. I don't assume though that the reason these people are not supporting reparations is because they're not freedmen or the descendants of freedmen. I don't assume that, and I'll tell you why. There are black descendants of slavery who are who are in those positions who also don't support reparations. I mean, if you think about what the Congressional Black Caucus has done on reparations, it's shameful and embarrassing. And some of them are not only descendants of slavery, but they're so old, and I don't mean it with any disrespect. They're like two generations. You know what I mean? So it ain't even like a mystery to them. They know, and they still don't support it. I don't think the Democratic Party is organized or structured in a way that could yield reparations for us. And so, and Byron Donalds, who you mentioned, is a Republican who tap dances for Donald Trump. So I don't believe that he would do it under any circumstances, because that's what he doesn't, what they don't want. And I think the escape hatch of saying, well, we're going to just do the rising tide, lift all boats, we're going to invest in urban America, which is what Bernie Sanders said, and it's also what Wes Moore has said. That makes most liberals, especially white liberals, happy. And a lot of black people who are disillusioned and believing we're never going to get reparations anyway see that as the next best option. So to me, it's more of a crisis of political imagination. I don't think, and it on the one hand, and on the other hand, it's a crisis of political cowardice. These people don't love us, they don't represent us, and they're selling us out. And I don't want to put that on the Caribbean ones. I think it's all of them. I think every single one of the Congressional Black Caucus, with the exception of maybe five, ain't worth shit when it comes to this issue. And so I'm not. I don't want to act like the FBA folk, you know what I mean, in the Congress or in the state house, are doing any better. They're not. But to the last part of your question, I think we should fight. I think we should always strike back. I don't think we should be waiting. I think we should be tactical and strategic. But at the end of the day, stop voting for people that don't support your interests. And I'm not saying it to you personally, sister. I'm saying that in general. Like, as long as we vote for people who don't advance our interests, then they're gonna keep not advancing our interests. You know what I mean? Um, and I think that's the best weapon we have when it comes to the electoral office, the electoral arena.
Well, Dr. Hill, that was wonderful. I have one more question for you, and I'm going to open the panel. How do you feel personally about foreigners such as Ilhan Omar holding powerful political positions and representing the foundational Black American community and voting against our interest? Do you think they should run for office on our behalf?
Again, the we and the our becomes complicated because and I know, and let me give full disclosure. I know Ilhan, and I consider her a friend. Um, and I've had conversations with her about reparations, both privately and publicly. Um, when we spoke on episode of Black Coffee, which is on YouTube, I believe. I'm not telling y'all to watch my shit. I'm not telling y'all. I'm just saying if y'all want proof of what I'm saying, you can find it. If not, you can just believe what I'm saying. But I asked her very specifically, do you support reparations for the descendants of American slavery? She said absolutely. So to me, I'd rather have a self-described Somali immigrant that supports reparations for the people who deserve it than the ADOS or FBA person who deserves it but ain't gonna fight for it. To me, at the end of the day, I take a white man. If a white man will give me reparations, I'd rather vote for the white man. So for me, if he represents our interests, I'm saying we should vote our interests, not our color. Now, if I have to choose between all things being the same, I'm always going to choose black. But I'm saying I'm not going to choose a black person that doesn't represent me in exchange for um, as opposed to a white person or a brown person or whatever who does. You get what I'm saying? So when it comes to Ilhan in particular, I've never heard her say anything publicly or privately that makes me think she doesn't support it. She's one of the when I said there's about five of them worth shit, she was one of the five for me. But if you have evidence that that's not the case, then I would have to say, even though she's my friend, then we got to do the same thing to her. We, I, at the end of the day, we got to hold people accountable. And but yeah, but I wouldn't say she shouldn't run for office because there's a lot of issues out there, and a lot of those issues she's at the forefront and the vanguard for. She's one of the few people holding the White House accountable, and I'm not just talking about the Trump White House. I'm talking about the Biden White House. She's one of the few people that was fighting for infrastructure, for roads, for schools, for making the 1% pay their fair share, etc. And again, I'm not a Democrat. I've been a Green Party member for 25 years. I'm not saying that we should vote for Democrats. I'm just saying we should vote for people to represent our interests.
And that's a good point. That's how we acquired Reconstruction through our ancestors without degrees and fancy sororities and fraternities. I'm not dissing that I'm part of that system, but without fancy titles, they had the sense enough to put Ulysses S. Grant in office because they did their homework and they knew that they had to get rid of Andrew Johnson. I'm gonna open the panel. We're gonna start.
Can I say one thing from just reading these comments?
Oh, absolutely. Go
And then
ahead.
I'll leave y'all alone because I don't want to. I see one brother is asking, why, or one person. I think it's a brother. I can't. My eyes aren't good, so I'm not. Let me read. No, it's a sister. I'm glad I looked. She said, "Why isn't it xenophobia when it's coming from immigrant groups?" Um, it's not. It's racist. It's fucked up. It's not xenophobia means fear of the outsider. So if you get what I'm saying. So if I'm the group that's not outside, it's not xenophobia. It's literally, you get what I'm saying. Like if it's xenophobia when Black Americans go to Jamaica and get treated like shit, that's xenophobia. They're being xenophobic against Black Americans, but Jamaicans hating Black Americans in America ain't xenophobia because they're not the other. And somebody else said that I was speaking from the point of view of a cosplaying melanated immigrant. I, I don't care how many times I tell you, I'm not. I'm not an immigrant. I was born here. My father was born here. My mother was born here. Their parents were born here, and their parents were enslaved in Virginia and Georgia, respectively. Um,
Did you ever say what should happen to immigrants that um, run on platforms of getting rid of Black History Month and sabotage every reparations meeting and put themselves on the boards and pretend to be us and then get outed and doing
oh no,
all
that's some
those?
different shit. So
Oh yeah, they've done that. They've done that to everything we've done. They've done that at the ONB. They've done that on every reparations board. And it's getting to the question, what should happen to people that are in our country, sometimes illegally sabotaging us? What should
see,
we
that was my beef
do?
with Myron
Because
Gaines.
I'm gonna tell you what would happen if I went over to any of these people's countries and said we should get rid of your cultural events or insert ourselves into those events because we have nothing else better to do, or get rid of any kind of program that would be structured to help you. If I went over to the Caribbean and said, hey, let's get rid of CARICOM, let's get rid of their 10-point plan, how long do you think I'd be alive if I made a hobby of going to other people's countries, getting rid of their political structures? We set up these political structures in the United States of America. It's called the Congressional Black Caucus and other legacy organizations, and they have been infiltrated by foreigners. So now we don't have to worry about whether Jamaica will get help. Everybody on the Congressional Black Caucus is nearly Caribbean or foreign. It's a foreign organization. It even says it. They are a global organization, so their focus is on immigrants. They have shifted our political
Mm.
arm that we built for ourselves to themselves. So now anytime they have a problem, they don't have to ask America to help. They have insinuated themselves into our lives, so they have the help built in, don't they? Why the Congressional Black Caucus wouldn't be interested in reparations? Because they can't get it, because they're foreign.
Well, I mean, I don't know if there's a question there per se, but I hear you. I wouldn't say, especially on a live microphone and recording, what should happen to enemies of our struggle. I mean, that's not responsible. But what I would say is, if people are cosplaying as us, as people in the comments still think I'm doing, which is crazy to me. Um, I Then yeah, they should be outed and they should be exposed and they should be prevented. There's one thing to say I don't support reparations, right? I'm John Smith and I don't support reparations. Nothing to say I'm John Smith. I'm a Black American freedman. I don't support reparations and I find out you're from Panama, right? That's not okay. You get what I'm saying? Both are bad positions, but don't come in. Don't do the Myron Gaines thing. Don't pretend you're us and then undermine our interests. I think that's a special kind of evil. that needs to be dealt with in whatever way is humane and principled and in line with our struggle. I'm not advocating violence. I'm not advocating killing people. I'm not advocating death. I'm just saying, but we do have to find ways to hold people accountable. And as far as the CBC goes, again, I'm not trying to blame the victim here, but like, we gotta stop voting for these people. I don't care how long you love them. I don't care if you call them auntie. I don't care.
Facts.
Like, stop voting for these people.
Can I ask a quick question to your Ilhan Omar? I don't know if you said you've asked her publicly and both privately
Yeah.
about her stand for reparations, and she supports us as foundational Black American freedmen receiving reparative justice. One thing that I've noticed with some of these individuals is that they say they support reparations, and then it's a comma but, and then it begins to but include this group of people and also include my people, and what about those people over there?
Mm-hmm.
So it becomes a thing where, yes, I do support, foundational Black Americans getting reparations, but also some other people got to get
Right.
it, and don't forget my group. And so I
Everybody
don't
gets
know.
it.
Right. And so I
That
don't
ain't her
know if,
though. That ain't her though.
okay, because I've never, again, what I see of her, and I'm just going to be honest, everything that I see of her, and I think it's the guy Omar Feta. I don't know if you probably seen him like everybody else has seen him out there in Minnesota. Um, One thing that does concern me is when people are waving foreign flags on U.S. soil and promoting that they're going to put a country that they have left before the country that took them in.
Preach.
So while she may say that she supports reparations for American freedmen, everything about Ilhan Omar, the guy Omar Feta, and all these other people shows that they're going to put Somalians before even American citizens. And this is just what I mean. This is what they're putting out on TV. I don't know these people personally, but when Omar's waving a foreign flag, Ilhan is saying Somalia, long live Somalia, viva Somalia, whatever. Um I have concerns about that. So again, I don't know her as you know her, but I do have great concern that even though somebody says I support your reparations, if you are willing to wave a foreign flag on US soil and you stand as an elected representative to represent the American people first, and everything out your mouth is Somalia first, I cannot trust and believe that you really would put me first and
I
advance
respect
my
that.
issues of reparations if Somalian issues were also on the table. I believe that my issues for reparations would be slid as far off as the table as it could be if it had to compete with Somali interests.
So her Somalia first comment was happened while she was over there, and she was talking about Somaliland. I don't want to get into the weeds of it, but if you can, I can send you the article that breaks it down, or you can look at the original translation. It was that was something that Republicans took up to make her seem like she was a foreigner, which is fascinating to me, right? Because, or not a foreigner, but was prioritizing foreign interests, which is fascinating to me because they're like, how could you say Somalia first when they don't say to anybody who supports Zionism, including non-Jewish and black white Americans who support Israel, but including Joe Biden, who says he's a Zionist, right? So it's super interesting to me to see the picking and choosing of it. But I'm not doing a whataboutism. I'm saying she didn't actually say that. I get why you heard that she said that because that's what the media put out there, as you said. But that's not her priority. In fact, I think the reason they're trying to make her seem like an enemy to the people is because she is a supporter of the people. It's rare that somebody gets attacked by our open enemies this much and isn't an asset to us. And conversely, if somebody gets patted on the head and supported by our open enemies, I don't think they for us. If you look at her record, and I don't want to make this about Ilhan Omar, but if you look at her record and her stances, she never says I support reparations, but she never says I support reparations and all these, but not just for black folk, but for all these other folks. She doesn't do that. Again, but if you find that she has and I'm wrong, then my critique goes to her too. I'm not protecting her. I just don't think she's done that. But if she's done it, then she's wrong too. Get rid of her too. That's what I'm saying. I don't have an issue. Get rid of all these people that don't represent our interests. I mean, it's really that simple to me. I don't care who. I don't care if it's my mom
And that's a
who was
fact.
who was not Jamaican.
Yeah, brother Mark Lamont Hill is foundational Black American. Just for the FYI. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna open the panel. Top Pal's been
Who's that? Coffee?